was 2347. Earth had joined the galactic community only 15 years ago. Humans were new to space travel. They were young. They were small. They had only 12 colony worlds and a fleet of 300 ships. In a galaxy of ancient empires and powerful species, humanity was nothing special. Well, Daniel Cooper stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Resolute. He was 50 years old with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent 30 years in the military, but he had never seen real combat. Earth had been at peace for over a century. Wars were things from history books. That peace was about to end. "We have a contact," said Lieutenant M. Blake. She was young, only 25, and her hands were shaking as she looked at her screen. "It is big, really big." Walked to her station and looked at the data. His face went pale. The contact was a ship, but it was larger than anything humans had ever built. It was 10 kilometers long. The Resolute was only 800 meters. "What is it?" Cooper asked. "Do not know, sir. It just came out of hyperspace near Jupiter." Contacts appeared on the screen. One ship became 10, 10 became 50, 50 became 200. They kept coming one after another until the screen was filled with red dots. And Laura Mitchell ran onto the bridge. She was Cooper's second in command, a tall one with short black hair and sharp eyes. "Daniel, what is happening?" "We have visitors," Cooper said. His voice was calm, but inside he was afraid. "A lot of them." Communication panel made a sound. Someone was trying to talk to them. "Put it on the main screen," Cooper ordered. Green changed to show a face that was not human. It had gray skin and 4 yellow eyes. Its mouth was full of small, sharp teeth. It wore armor that was covered in gold symbol. "High Commander Akan of the Dominion of," the creature said. Its voice was deep and cold. "You are the species called humans. You will listen." Step forward. "I am Admiral Daniel Cooper of the United Earth Fleet. What do you want?" Khan made a sound that might have been a laugh. "What do I want? I want nothing from you, human. I am here to tell you what you will give." Pressed a button and information appeared on every screen on the Resolute. It was a list of demands. Percent of all planetary resources, every year, forever. Million humans for labor, every 5 years. Submission to the Dominion of. Read the list twice. He could not believe what he was seeing. "This is slavery," he said. "It's tribute," Akan corrected. "Every species in our space pays tribute. You are in our space now. You will pay or you will die. It is simple." "And if we refuse?" Khan's 4 eyes looked at Cooper with something like pity. "No species has ever refused, but I will show you what happens to those who think about it." The screen changed again. It showed one of Jupiter's moons, a small rock called Amalthea. It was uninhabited, just ice and stone. Of the ships fired a single beam of light. It hit the moon. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the moon cracked. It broke apart. In 10 seconds, it was gone. Millions of tons of rock turned to dust. "It was a small weapon," Akan said. "We have bigger ones. You have 90 days to prepare your tribute. Do not waste our time." Transmission ended. One on the bridge spoke. They had just watched a moon die. They had just learned that humanity was not alone in the universe, and that the universe was not friendly. Turned to Mitchell. "Get me a connection to Earth, priority 1. The Council needs to know about this." Said reach Earth in 3 hours. Within 6 hours, every government on the planet knew about the demand. Within 12 hours, the United Earth Council called an emergency meeting in Geneva. Mr. Price was one of the first to arrive. He was 60 years old, a diplomat who had spent his whole life talking to people and finding solutions to problems. He had helped end 3 wars on Earth. He had negotiated trade deals between nations that hated each other. He was good at his job. That was different. That was not a negotiation. This was an order. The chamber was full of people. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, scientists, and advisors from every nation on Earth. They had all seen the video of Amalthea dying. They had all read the demand. President of the United States spoke first. "We cannot fight them. Our military experts say their fleet alone could destroy Earth in hours. We have no weapons that can hurt them." Prime Minister of China nodded. "We must consider compliance. Survival is more important than pride." "Compliance means slavery," said the President of Brazil. "They want 10 million people every 5 years. That is not tribute. That is a harvest." It's filled the room. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted to surrender. Some wanted to run to take as many humans as possible and flee to the far edge of space. Sat and listened. He watched the fear on their faces. He understood it. He felt it too. 7 days of debate, no decision had been made. The council was divided. Half wanted to comply, half wanted to resist. Neither side would give in. The 8th day, the Secretary General called Price to the front of the room. "Ambassador Price, you have said nothing this whole week. The council has decided that you will deliver our response to but first, we need to agree on what that response will be. Do you have anything to say?" Slowly, he looked around the room at all the frightened faces. He thought about his grandfather, who had fought in the last great war on Earth. He thought about all the people who had died so that humanity could be free. "I have something to say," said. "You are all afraid, I understand. I'm afraid too, but fear is not a reason to give up who we are." Walked to the center of the room. "They want our resources, they want our people, they want us to kneel. And yes, they can destroy us. They are stronger than us. They have bigger ships and better weapons. By every measure, we should lose." Paused. "But I have studied history. I have seen what happens when free people surrender to tyrants. It does not matter if they live. They stop being alive in any way that matters." The room was silent. "What my answer is," said. "I will not speak for all of humanity, but when I stand before that alien commander, I know what I will say. The question is whether you will stand behind me when I say it." The Secretary General looked at him for a long moment. "What will you say, Ambassador?" Smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had made peace with death. "One word," he said. "That is all they need to hear, one word." No one asked what the word was. Somehow they all knew. Vote was held that night. It was not unanimous. Nothing ever was. But by a margin of 63%, the United Earth Council authorized Ambassador Price to deliver humanity's response to the Dominion of. Countdown to war had begun. Commander Akan sat in his command chair on the bridge of the Imperial Dreadnought Eternal Victory. He had conquered 47 species in his long career. He had watched civilizations burn and worlds die. He had seen millions kneel before the power of the Dominion. This would be number 48. He was sure of it. "The deadline is in 6 hours, said his communications officer, a younger name. "Should we prepare the attack fleet?" Khan waved one of his 4 arms in dismissal. "There will be no need. They will submit. They always submit." "But High Commander, our intelligence reports say the humans are arguing among themselves. Some of them want to fight." "Always want to fight," Akan said. In the end, survival wins. These humans are soft creatures. They have no claws, they have no scales, they are weak. When they see our fleet, they will remember their place. But said nothing. He had heard stories about humans from traders and scouts. Strange stories. Stories about a species that kept fighting even when they should have stopped. Stories about humans who would rather die than give up. Those were just stories. No species could be that foolish. Hours passed slowly. Akan used the time to review reports from other parts of the Empire. They had paid their tribute on time. They had sent their labor shipment. They had tried to hide some of their resources and been punished with the destruction of one of their cities. Everything was normal. Everything was as it should be. The deadline arrived, received a transmission request from Earth. "Our calling High Commander," he said. "The human ambassador wished to speak." Khan stood up from his chair. He straightened his armor and made sure his medals were visible. This was his favorite part, the moment when hope died in their eyes, the moment when they realized they had no choice. "Put it on the main screen," he ordered. The screen came to life. A single human stood before them. He was old by human standards, with white hair and wrinkled skin. He wore simple gray clothes with no decoration. Behind him were the flags of many nations, arranged in a half circle. "I'm Ambassador Price," the human said. "I speak for the United Earth Council and all of humanity." "I'm High Commander Akan," the commander replied. "You already know this. Tell me, human, are you ready to deliver your tribute? The deadline has arrived." Did not move. His face showed nothing. No fear, no anger, no hope, just calm excitement. "I'm ready," he said. Khan leaned forward. He had done that many times. He knew the script. The human would apologize for the delay. He would promise to deliver the resources. He would beg for more time to gather the labor conscripts. He might cry. Some of them cried. "Speak," Khan said. "Declare your submission to the Dominion." He took a deep breath. He looked directly at the screen, directly at the alien commander. When he spoke, his voice was clear and strong. "No." The bridge of the Eternal Victory went silent. Every officer stopped what they were doing. Every eye turned to the screen. Khan blinked his 4 eyes. "What did you say?" I said, "No, repeat. Humanity will not pay tribute. We will not give you our resources. We will not give you our people. We will not kneel to you or anyone else. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever." For the first time in his long life, Akan did not know what to say. He had never heard the word in the context. No species had ever said it. It was not possible. "I'm making a mistake," he said finally. "Do you understand what will happen if you refuse? We will destroy you. Every human world will burn. Every human ship will be dust. Your species will end." I smiled slightly. It was not a happy smile. "Maybe, but we will not go quietly, and you will pay for every life you take. You cannot fight us. You are nothing. Your fleet is nothing. Your weapons are nothing." "Our weapons might be weak," agreed. "Our ships might be small, but you are wrong about one thing. We are not nothing. We are humans, and we do not give up." Khan stood up from his chair. His 4 eyes blazed with anger. "You are fools. Your planet will be an example. Your species will be a memory. Your children will be stories that other species tell their young to frighten them." Haps said, "But those stories will also tell them something else. They will tell them that when the Dominion came to Earth, one small species dared to say no. And maybe, just maybe, some of them will find the courage to say it too." Transmission ended. Khan stood there for a long moment, staring at the blank screen. Around him, his officers waited in silence. They had never seen their commander like this. "Word to the Imperial Council," Akan said finally. His voice was cold as ice. "The humans have chosen extinction. We will make an example of them that the galaxy will never forget." The message, within hours, it had spread throughout the entire Dominion. Every species, every world, every tribute payer heard the news. The humans had said no. A small world called 3,000 light years from Earth, a young alien named Han heard the story. He was a factory worker, one of millions who made goods for their masters. He had been born a slave and expected to die a slave. That night, he lay in his bed and whispered a word he had never spoken before. No. It was just a whisper. It meant nothing by itself, but it was a start. Earth Price returned from the transmission room. His hands were shaking. He had just condemned his entire species to war. He had just made a choice that might end humanity forever. Admiral Daniel Cooper was waiting for him. The old military man looked at the older diplomat with something like respect. "Really did it," Cooper said. "You told the most powerful empire in the galaxy to go to hell." "I did what I had to do," said. "Now you have to do your part. Can we fight them?" It was quiet for a moment. "Honestly, no, not in any traditional sense. They have 5,000 ships to our 300. Their weapons are better. Their shields are stronger. By every measure, we should lose." "Should lose, Red, but we'll wait." He smiled. It was the smile of a man who had been waiting his whole life for the moment. "I have been a soldier for 30 years. I always knew that one day I might have to fight an impossible battle. I have been preparing for them my entire career." Pulled out a tablet and showed a map. It was full of marks and notes and strategic coins. "Expect us to surrender or run," Cooper said. "They expect us to fight the way other species fight. They are wrong. Humans do not fight like other species. We fight dirty. We fight smart. We fight until the last breath." Looked at the map. He did not understand all of it, but he understood enough. "How long do we have?" "Days until their main fleet arrives. That is what their commander said. They want to make us wait. They want us to be afraid." "And will we be afraid?" "Put the tablet away." "Of course we will. Fear is natural, but we will not let it stop us. We have 90 days to turn this solar system into the worst trap the universe has ever seen." He held out his hand and took it. "You, Ambassador," Cooper said. "You gave us the chance to fight. Now let us make sure your sacrifice was not for nothing." He was tired. He was scared. But for the first time in days, he also felt something else. Hope. Small and fragile, it might not survive what was coming, but it was there. And as long as hope existed, humanity would keep fighting. War had begun with a single word. Now it was time to see if that word could change the galaxy. Day 1 of 90. Well, Daniel Cooper stood before a room full of military commanders from every nation on Earth. They looked tired and scared. Many of them had not slept since the demand. "You have 90 days, Cooper said. "That is not much time, but it is enough. If we work together, if we work smart, if we work without stopping." Omari Santos of Brazil raised her hand. "Admiral, how can we fight them? Their ships are bigger. Their weapons are stronger. One of their dreadnoughts could destroy our entire fleet." "All right," Cooper said. "If we fight them ship to ship, we lose, so we will not fight them that way." Turned on a large screen that showed the solar system. "This is our home. We know it. They do not. Every asteroid, every moon, every piece of rock in this system is a weapon we can use." "To the asteroid belt. We have millions of rocks floating between Mars and Jupiter. We are going to fill them with bombs, nuclear bombs, antimatter bombs, every kind of explosive we can make. When their fleet comes through, we turn the asteroid belt into a minefield. And Allura Middle spoke next. She was in charge of fighter operation. We are also changing our tactics. Our fighters are small and fast. Ships are big and slow. We will not try to destroy their cattle ships. We will blind them, take out their center, cut their communications, make them fight in the dark. It lasted 6 hours. By the end, every commander had a job. Every nation had a role. For the first time in human history, there was no disagreement, no politics, no national pride getting in the way. Everyone knew what was coming. Everyone knew they might die. That made things simple. Mars' doctor worked in a secret laboratory. She was 40 years old, a physicist who specialized in energy weapons. 2 weeks ago, she had been studying theoretical applications of gravity manipulation. Now she was building weapons. Is it ready? Asked her assistant, a young man named Jay Pierce. Looked at the device on the table. It was ugly. It was dangerous. It might not even work. Only one way to find out, she said. They took the weapon to detecting range on the Mars surface. A target drone flew 100 kilometers away, aimed the device and pulled the trigger. Invisible hat. There was no beam of light, no explosion, no sound. The drone simply crushed. It collapsed into itself, folding like paper, until it was a ball of metal the size of a fist. He stared with his mouth open. What just happened? Lance said, it creates a focused gravity field that compresses anything in its path. Shields do not stop it. Armor does not stop it. Nothing stops it. Can we make more? We can, and we will, as many as possible before they arrive. On Earth, factories that had been closed for decades came back to life. Old shipyards started building again. Mines that had been abandoned were reopened. Every person who could work was working. And Commander Palmer was in charge of defense platforms. He was building hundreds of them, hiding them on moons and asteroids throughout the solar system. Each platform had missiles, lasers, and railguns. Each one was designed to fire once and then self-destruct before the enemy could capture it. How many do we have now? Asked his supervisor. His talent, 342. We need at least 1,000. Then keep building. Torres trained fire pilots. She worked them 16 hours a day every day. She taught them how to fly in asteroid fields, how to use cover, how to hit a target and run before the enemy could respond. Are not soldiers, she told them during one training session. You are mosquito. A single mosquito cannot kill a lion, but 1,000 mosquitoes can drive it crazy, make it make mistakes, and when it makes mistakes, we strike. A pilot named Dane raised his hand. Captain, what if we get caught? Their weapons can one-shot our fires. Looked at him, she did not lie. Then you die, there is no way around it. If you get caught, you are dead. So do not get caught, be fast, be smart, be alive. Not. He was 18 years old. 2 months ago, his biggest worry was passing his flight exam. Now he was preparing to fight aliens. Think that Jane fast. Earth prepared for war, Ambassador Price was doing something different. He was traveling not to human worlds, but to alien ones. Secret meetings in dark places. Quiet conversations with scared representatives. His first meeting was with the ambassador on a neutral station. There were small, blue-skinned aliens with large eyes. They had been paying tribute to them for 800 years. You hear? The ambassador asked. Her name was Aura, and she was clearly afraid. I'm here because I know something, said. They are not as strong as they seem. They rule through fear, but fear only works if everyone is afraid. I laughed bitterly. Fear works because they can destroy anyone who disobeys. You said no to them. You will be dead in 3 months. We agreed, but what if we are not? What if we fight and survive? What would that mean for you? I was silent for a long moment. Her large eyes did his face. It would mean everything, she finally said. It would mean the Empire is not invincible. It would mean there is hope. Exactly. Lean forward. I'm not asking you to fight. Not yet. I'm just asking you to watch. And if we survive, if we prove that they can be hurt, then maybe you will find the courage to stand up too. Had similar conversations with the and a dozen other species. None of them promised to help. None of them openly supported humanity. But all of them listened, and all of them hoped. On Earth, Admiral Cooper reviewed the progress reports. Day 45, halfway there. That's report, he said to his senior officer. Commander Mitchell went first. Fighter squadrons are at 80% readiness. We have trained 4,000 pilots, another 2,000 in reserve. And Commander Palmer was next. Defense platforms are at 912. We will hit 1,000 by day 60. Doctor appeared on screen from Mars. We have produced 50 gravity lances. They are being installed on our cattle ship now. We also have a prize for the flagship, something special. Raised an eyebrow, special. Well, let me just say that if their high commander thinks his ship is invincible, he's going to be very disappointed. Preparations continued. Day after day, night after night. Humans worked until they collapsed, then woke up and worked again. Day 89, Admiral Cooper stood on the bridge of the Resolute and looked at his fleet. 300 ships against 5,000. Odds were impossible. The situation was hopeless. Yet when Cooper looked at his crew, he did not see despair. He saw determination. He saw courage. He saw people who were ready to fight for their home. Tomorrow they come, he said quietly. Commander Mill stood beside him. Are we ready? Thought about everything they had done. The mines, the platforms, the weapons, the training, the sacrifice. No, he said honestly. We are not ready. No one could be ready for this, but we are as ready as we can be, and that will have to be enough. Turned to Faye, his crew. Get some sleep, everyone. Tomorrow we find out if one word can really change the galaxy. No one slept that night. They just waited. When the sun rose on day 90, the war began. Ahmad arrived at noon Earth time. 5,000 ships came out of hyperspace near Neptune. They filled the screens of every center stage in the solar system. It was the largest fleet ever assembled against a single planet. Commander Akan stood on the bridge of the Eternal Victory. He had brought enough firepower to destroy 100 worlds. These humans had insulted the Dominion. They had said no. They would pay with their blood. In the advance, he ordered. Standard formation. We will crush them in 12 hours. Fleet moved forward. Ships spread out in a massive wave covering millions of kilometers of space. They passed Neptune. They passed Uranus. They headed toward the inner solar system. Khan expected to see the human fleet waiting for them. He expected a desperate last stand near Earth. He expected pleas for mercy. That he found nothing. Empty space, dark skies, silent. Where are they? He demanded. Center officer checked his screen. I do not see them, High Commander. No ships, no stations, nothing. They are hiding. Find them. Fleet continued forward past Saturn, past the gas giant's moons, toward the asteroid belt. That was when the first mine exploded. Cruiser touched an asteroid that looked like any other rock. The nuclear bomb inside detonated with the force of 10 million tons of explosives. The cruiser disappeared. 2 nearby ships were damaged by the blast wave. Before Hakan could react, more explosions followed. 10, 20, 50, 100. The asteroid belt came alive with fire. Rocks that had flowed peacefully for billions of years turned into weapons. Pull back, Hakan shouted. It was too late. 300 ships were already inside the minefield. They could not go forward. They could not go back. All they could do was die. Explosion continued for an hour. When they finally stopped, Hakan had lost 340 ships without firing a single shot. Group, he ordered. His voice was cold with anger. Go around the asteroid belt. Avoid all debris. These humans want to play games. We will show them what happens to those who play games with the Dominion. Fleet changed course. They went above the asteroid belt, avoiding the remaining mines. It cost them 6 hours, but they were still advancing. Admiral Daniel Cooper watched from the bridge of the Resolute. His fleet was hidden behind Jupiter, using the giant planet to mask their heat signatures. Phase 1 complete, Commander Mitchell reported. We got about 300. Not enough, Cooper said, but it is a start. Prepare for Phase 2. Fleet past Mars. They were getting close to Earth now. Sensors showed the blue planet ahead, beautiful and alone. And the defense platforms opened fire. Moons all over the solar system, from asteroids and space station, over 1,000 weapons began shooting at once. Middle streak toward ships, lasers cut through shield. Railguns sent chunks of metal at incredible speed. Shut back, but the platforms were small and hard to hit. Every time they destroyed one, 3 more fired from a different direction. Human fighter approaching shouted. 1,000 human fighters emerged from hidden bases. They came from Titan, from Europa, from Ganymede, from every moon that could hide a hangar bay. Doors led the first wave. Her fighter was small and fast, painted black to blend with space. She did not try to destroy the enemy ships. She had a different target. Squadrons focused on center arrays, she ordered. Blind them. Fighters attacked like mosquitoes, just as she had trained them. They came in fast, fired at sensor dishes and communicating towers, then ran away before the big guns could track them. It was right behind his captain. He was scared. His hands were shaking, but he did not run. Saw a sensor array on a cruiser. He lined up his shot. He pulled the trigger. Array exploded. The cruiser was blind. Pulled away just as a massive beam of energy passed through where he had been a second ago. Got one, he shouted. Job, Tor said. Now do it again and again until they cannot see anything. Battle raged for 3 hours. Human fighters died by the hundreds, but for every fire lost, they blinded another enemy ship. The fleet became a mess of confusion. Ships could not coordinate. Commanders could not communicate. And Admiral Cooper revealed his fleet. Resolute and 300 human warships emerged from behind Jupiter. They charged directly at the fleet. Khan laughed when he saw them. Finally, they come to die. All ships focused fire on their flagship. 1,000 weapons aimed at the Resolute. They fired. The shot missed. Or had installed something special on the flagship, a device that bent light and sensor readings. To the Resolute appeared to be in one place when it was actually in another. Human fleet got close enough to use their new weapon. Our gravity lances, Cooper ordered. Beams of invisible force hit 50 ships. The enemy vessels crushed like tin cans. Shields meant nothing. Armor meant nothing. Ships that had conquered dozens of worlds died in seconds. Khan stared at his screen in disbelief. What when is this? How is it possible? No one answered. No one knew. Battle turned in chaos. Ships fired blindly at enemies they could not see. Human fighters kept attacking, never stopping, never giving up. Defense platforms launched everything they had. And Mitchell led a squadron of heavy cruisers directly at Khan's flagship. Her ship took heavy damage. Fire spread through the decks. Her crew was dying around her. He did not stop. Power to forward weapons, she ordered. Aim for their bridge. Ship fired everything it had. Missiles, lasers, railguns. They all hit the same spot on the Eternal Victory. Flagship shields finally broke. A missile got through. It hit the bridge deck. Khan was thrown from his chair. Smoke filled the air. Warning alarm screamed. For the first time in his life, his ship was burning. Admiral's report, he demanded. Shields down. Hull breach on decks 7 through 12. We have locked main center. Khan looked at the battle outside his window. His fleet was in chaos. Ships were dying everywhere. These humans, these weak little creatures, were winning. Not winning, that was not possible, but they were not losing here. They were fighting, really fighting, the way no species had ever fought before. Doris saw her opportunity. She saw the flagship with its shields down. She turned her fire toward it. Doris, what are you doing? Dan shouted over the radio. She's the job, she said. Tell the Admiral I said goodbye. Accelerated toward the flagship. Any fire came at her from all directions. Her fighter was hit once, twice, 3 times. Alarms filled her cockpit. He did not stop. Fire hit the Eternal Victory's main engine section. The explosion was massive. The flagship propulsion system went offline. The most powerful ship in the fleet was now dead in space. Doris did not survive, but her sacrifice changed everything. Khan looked at the destruction around him. Half his fleet was gone or damaged. His flagship was crippled, and the humans were still fighting. The first time in 12,000 years, a high commander gave an order that had never been given before. Ships retreat, fall back to higher space, retreat. Fleet ran, they left their dead behind. They left their damaged ship behind. They fled from a species they had called weak, from a species that had said one word. No. Admiral Cooper watched them go. His fleet was battered. He had lost half his ships. Thousands of humans had died. But they had won. Against all odds, against the mightiest empire in the galaxy, humanity had won. Bridge of the Resolute erupted in cheers. He'll cried, he'll hugged, he'll screamed in joy and relief. Or did not celebrate. He looked at the screen where the enemy fleet was disappearing. He knew that was not the end. They would come back. They would bring more ships. The war was just beginning. But that was a problem for tomorrow. Humanity had done the impossible. They had proven that one word could shake an empire. News of the battle spread across the galaxy like fire. Species in the Dominion heard the story. The humans had said no. The humans had fought. The humans had won. The High Commander Khan stood before the Imperial Council. His uniform was burned. His face was, for the first time in his long life, he had failed. Explained, the Emperor demanded. His voice echoed through the massive chamber. You had 5,000 ships. They had 300. How is it possible? Khan bowed his head. They did not fight like other species. They used tricks, traps, weapons we have never seen. They sacrificed themselves without hesitation. Sacrificed themselves? The Emperor leaned forward. What do you mean? Flew their ships into ours. They destroyed themselves to destroy us. It was like they did not care about dying, only about hurting us. Well, Chamber fell silent. There was something they did not understand. They feared death like all living things. The idea of dying on purpose for a cause was foreign to them. What do we do now? Asked one of the council members. We cannot let this stand. If other species learn that the humans won, they might think they can win too. Emperor nodded slowly. Send another fleet, a bigger one. This time no mistakes. Even as he spoke, something was already happening throughout the Empire. Something that could not be stopped with fleets or weapons. Oh, yeah. Han heard the news while working in his factory. The humans had won. The humans had actually won. Put down his tools, he looked around at the other workers. They had all heard the same news. They were all thinking the same thing. If they can do it, Han said quietly, why cannot we? No one answered, but no one disagreed either. At night, the first protest in 800 years took place in the city. 1,000 workers marched through the streets, chanting a single word. No. Garrison tried to stop them. They fired warning shots. They arrested leaders. They threatened to destroy the city. The next day, 10,000 people marched. Something similar was happening. There were insects with hard shells and many legs. They had been slaves for 1,000 years. They had forgotten what freedom felt like. But the human victory reminded them. General Name stood before his soldiers. They were supposed to be loyal to the Dominion. They were supposed to fight for their master. I have a question, said. The humans had 300 ships. We have 2,000. Why do we obey? The soldiers looked at each other. No one had ever asked that question before. Because they will destroy us if we do not, one soldier said. Try to destroy the humans, replied. It did not work. Maybe it would not work on us either. The seed of rebellion had been planted. On Earth, Admiral Daniel Cooper was dealing with the aftermath of the battle. Half his fleet was gone. Thousands of soldiers were dead. Cities were mourning. But they were also celebrating. Danced in the streets. They sang songs about the brave fighters who had given their lives. They told stories about Captain Torres, who had crashed her ship into the enemy flagship. They called her a hero. Ambassador Price visited the families of the dead. He shook their hands. He thanked them for their sacrifice. He cried with them when the cameras were not looking. Was it worth it? Asked Laura Mitchell. She had survived the battle with burns on half her body. She was still in a hospital bed recovering. All those people died. Was it worth it? Carefully before answering. I do not know. I hope so. But I do know one thing. They died free. They died fighting. That has to mean something. You're best? Send another fleet. 20,000 ships this time. They were determined to crush humanity once and for all. Something strange happened on the way to Earth. Rose up. They attacked supply lines. They destroyed fuel depots. They blocked hyperspace routes. Refused to fight. Their soldiers put down their weapons. Their generals surrendered to their own governments. Bombed garrison bases on there. The explosions lit up the night sky. Great fleet never reached Earth. It had to turn back to deal with rebellions across the Empire. The Dominion was falling apart. 5 years after the Battle of Earth, Admiral Daniel Cooper stood in the Imperial Scent Chamber, not as a prisoner, not as a supplicant, as a guest. The Empire was gone. It had collapsed under the weight of 1,000 rebellions, all inspired by a single word. The Emperor had been overthrown. The Council had been dissolved. In place, a new alliance was forming. Humans and dozens of other species were coming together, not as masters and slaves, but as equal. How does it feel? Asked Dara, the ambassador who had met Price so many years ago. You started all of this. He shook his head. I did not start anything. I just followed orders. Ambassador Price started it when he said one word. This was the two, older now, with white hair and tired eyes. He smiled when he heard his name. I did not start it either, said. I just said what every human was already thinking, what every free being in the galaxy was thinking, even if they were afraid to say it. And what is that? Dara asked. Got the window at the stars. Thousands of worlds, millions of species, all of them now free because someone had been brave enough to say one word. Freedom is not given, said. It is taken, it is fought for, and it is worth dying for. I nodded slowly. You humans are strange creatures. You are weak. You are small. You live such short lives. But you have something that we do not understand. What is that? Refuse to accept things as they are. You always want them to be better, even when it seems impossible, even when everyone says you cannot win. Laugh softly. It is a curse sometimes, but it is also what makes us human. The alliance was called the Galactic Federation. It was not perfect. There were arguments and disagreements. Old enemies had to learn to be friends. It took time. But it worked. In the center of the Federation New Cattle, they built a monument. It was a simple thing, just a pillar of black stone with words carved into it. Words told the story of a species that had been given an impossible choice. Submit or die, kneel or be destroyed. Instead of choosing either, they had chosen a third option. They had chosen to fight. At the base of the monument, a single word was carved in 100 different languages. No, visitors came from across the galaxy to see it. They touched the stone. They read the word. They remembered what it meant. Came to visit once years later. He was old now, a grandfather with gray hair and wrinkled skin. He had survived the battle. He had become a pilot instructor. He had trained thousands of young fighters to protect their homes. He stood before the monument and thought about all the friends he had lost, Captain Torres, about all the brave men and women who had given everything. Was it worth it? His grandson asked him. He looked at the word carved in stone. He thought about the galaxy that word had changed, the billions of beings who were now free, the children who would grow up without fear. Yes, he said quietly, it was worth it. Put his hand on the stone and closed his eyes. You, he whispered, to the dead, to the brave, to everyone who had been willing to say one word when the whole universe was against them. No, a word that had shaken an empire, a word that had freed a galaxy, a word that had proven, once and for all, that even the smallest species could change everything. What they had to do was refuse to give up. The story of humanity's defiance became a legend. It was told on 1,000 worlds in 1,000 languages. Parents told it to their children. Teachers told it to their students. Leaders told it to their people when times were hard and hope seemed lost. The message was always the same. Someone tries to make you kneel. When someone says you cannot win. When the odds are impossible and everyone says you should give up. Remember the humans. Remember what one small species did against the mightiest empire in the galaxy. Remember the word. Find the courage to say it yourself.